Hello, and thank you for joining us today for the April I-10 Connect informational meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 7th. I'm Jennifer Wright with the Texas Department of Transportation. Today, Martin Bartlett of Barracuda PR will be updating you on the several things that are happening. Also in the room, we have Jorge Orejel with Texas Department of Transportation. He's the project manager for the I-10 Connect project. And we have Rudy Elias joining us, and he's the project manager for Sunt Construction that's handling this big job that's happening right in the center of our city. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today include the progress on the columns at Lincoln Center, new traffic control by Paisano, I-110 and US 54, upcoming overnight closures to expect, and then what to expect on phase 6 of this project. You can ask questions by emailing us, and Martin will explain how to do that. And then we will do our best to answer all these questions tonight. If you're not able to join us live and you're viewing this at a later date, you're on Facebook or on the i10connectelpaso.com project page. Martin, would you go ahead, please, and get started with the presentation? Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Jennifer, thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you again to Jorge from TxDOT and Rudy from Sunt being present to answer some of the more technical questions we might have during the course of tonight's presentation. Again, my name is Martin Bartlett. I work for Barracuda Public Relations, which we're going to go ahead and pop up the typical presentation we give you and work through that. But we're coming to you, as you see, from various locations all around El Paso this evening. So utilizing some unique technology, and of course, technology also allowing us to take your questions in real time. Best way to do that right now is to email us at info@i10connectelpaso.com. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can get to during the course of tonight's presentation. The project team, of course, all supporting the Texas Department of Transportation, includes Sunt Construction. Consor is responsible for the construction management and inspections on this project. KCI, Kennedy Consulting, actually did the design work on this project, and the company for which I work, Barracuda Public Relations, is working with TxDOT on community involvement and public engagement for this project as the construction continues. So we're going to kind of dive on into some of the features of this project, some of the important things to know, really very higher level information that isn't going to change throughout the project. It's a $96 million project. Construction began about 14 months ago in February of 2019. And a total of 3 years were allocated for the completion of this project. Why do we say 3 years completed for allocation? Because this project actually incentivizes the contractor to complete the work faster. So recognizing that this project is right in the middle of the city at the intersection of more than two very highly traveled roadways, the Texas Department of Transportation created a contract structure that allows for some incentives to get this project done more quickly. And I think we can all agree the faster this project is done and the roads are clear, the better. All right, we're going to take a look now at an illustration kind of taken from high above the spaghetti bowl. What you should see on your screen now is an I-10 Connect project overview photo showing several blue ramps off to the right side of your screen. So right now we're flying high above the spaghetti bowl, looking to the south. Border Highway, the Bridge of the Americas, the El Paso Zoo at the top of the screen. Everything you see there in blue is a new ramp, either brand new construction or a ramp that will replace an existing ramp. And the biggest, most impactful change as a result of this project is when and where you make the decision as to whether or not you're going to Ciudad Juarez or if you're just going to stay in El Paso and get down to Border Highway. What we're going to do now is we're going to switch over to a video that flies through the project site and shows several driver's eye views as well as overhead animations of the project as it will look when it is completed. I believe the video is presently playing, so we should be good to go. As you take a look at these driver's eye views, again, they were really kind of devised the idea of where might you be going. So this is a view showing if you're coming from downtown El Paso, heading off southbound towards Loop 375, staying, just trying to get down to Loop 375 to use it as an alternate to I-10. This next driver's eye view is a view, let's say you're coming from the east side trying to get down to the Bridge of the Americas, a view a lot of us have seen many times, of course, taking that exit ramp high flying above the Spaghetti Bowl. And then, one of the things you'll see in this animation is this is really make that different decision point, that sooner decision point as to whether or not we're going to stay in the US and get down to Loop 375 or head off to the right and head down to the Bridge of the Americas. We want to take a minute to show you some of what is actually going on out there in the field. That animation very much reflects what the project will eventually look like when it is completed, but there's a lot of work that's been going on, a lot of incremental work. So the photos that you're seeing right now are of several of the columns that will hold up many of those new direct connector ramps in the Lincoln Center area. We'll move on to the next slide. Now you see a slightly different perspective, but again, looking at some of those new columns to support new ramps that will be built as part of the I-10 Connect project. Again, ramps, bridges, direct connectors, really the focus of this project, making sure that if you're going from I-10 to Loop 375 or Loop 375 to I-10 there at the Spaghetti Bowl, you have a much easier time than you do right now. So again, that shows some of the progress in terms of concrete and steel, but let's take a look at some of the traffic control changes which have been implemented throughout the project to help as crews continue their work. One of the biggest recent areas of traffic control change is right there at the intersection of I-110, that's the short freeway spur that leads to the Bridge of the Americas, Paisano, and US 54. So right there in that area between, say, the Zoo and the Chamizal on Paisano, a lot of changes are underway. One of them you see right now, Lata, a small neighborhood street closed to all traffic at Paisano Drive for the installation of concrete paving. The actual location of the travel lanes on Paisano have been relocated in that area as well temporarily. Another really big important change for folks who live in that neighborhood, the Findlay Lata neighborhood, right there across from the Bridge of the Americas, is the temporary conversion of Gateway South into a two-way street. We just showed you that Lata Street, which is one of their main ways in and out of the neighborhood, is closed. So now to kind of alleviate some of the pressure, Gateway South temporarily converted to a two-way street to allow folks living in that neighborhood to go in and out. As a part of that change, kind of there at the very, let's see, upper right side of the photo, that ramp, which usually leads from southbound US 54 to Paisano, is closed. Of course, you don't want traffic coming off of US 54 right there into two-way traffic on the gateway in that temporary configuration. But again, that's to make sure that folks who live in that neighborhood can get in and out. Another temporary change, you see a temporary left turn access, CDP access only, right there, right across from St. Francis Xavier Church, a left turn, a temporary left turn there off of Paisano. All right. One of the other things you'll see that's taking place long-term in that area, just to kind of get your bearings, I-110, again, that area shown in red, short freeway spur leading to and from the Bridge of the Americas, I-110 closed to all northbound traffic under Paisano as it leaves the Bridge of the Americas. So right now, if you are coming out of the Bridge of the Americas, of course, we recognize that there is a lot of of traffic heading north and south at the Bridge of the Americas, very much diminished now because of an agreement between the United States and Mexico to limit travel to essential traffic only. But any traffic that is coming north out of the Bridge of the Americas, as you see, has to take that turn and ideally take Paisano over to Gateway North and enter I-10 and US 54 from Gateway North. Now, I-110 heading south towards the bridge, headed south from El Paso into Juarez, is still open and remains reduced to a single southbound lane. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next slide, and I want to show you some temporary signage which has gone up in that area. It's very similar to signage you've seen permanently, but we want to talk about why this signage was placed temporarily and where it was placed temporarily. That last minute detour or last minute U-turn that you could usually take when you get down to the Bridge of the Americas to stay in El Paso isn't available. So all traffic that goes south of Paisano on I-110 has to travel into Mexico. So working with our partners at CBP, recognizing again, of course, it has always been illegal to carry firearms and ammunition into Mexico, went ahead, augmented some of the signage to make sure that there was no ambiguity. As you head further south down there into Juarez, you no longer have that U-turn access. So very important to pay attention, heed those signs if you're carrying firearms and ammunition, which of course might be legal here in Texas, but not legal to carry across the Bridge of the Americas. So that's a lot of changes that are in place in that one tight little area right there around the Paisano I-110 US 54 interchange. We have a video that's going to break it all down for you in animation, just to kind of show you around all of these changes again. So we're going to let that video play right now. So we apologize, we don't have that video for you at this exact moment. We'll work to make sure that's placed for you on the Facebook page. You can also access it by visiting i10connectelpaso.com. You'll see a big banner talking about the I-110 US 54 Paisano changes. You'll be able to watch that video in that section there. Again, all those changes on I-110, the detour heading south, the detour heading north, the lane changes on Paisano are long-term in place until further notice. We have some short-term changes we want to make sure you're aware of as well. Upcoming closure that's been in place on weekdays and will continue weekdays next week. Ramp in, that's that ramp which connects eastbound Loop 375 to US 54, closed to all traffic. The way you will, if you're out and about, the way you will detour around that is to take the US 62 Paisano Coles exit off of Loop 375 just east of downtown. Make your way past the Chamizal on Paisano and then turn onto Gateway North, where you're able to access I-10 in both directions and US 54. Another big change, or another important closure coming up tonight and Wednesday night on Alameda Avenue. They're right under US 54. If you're heading eastbound on Alameda, say towards UMC, you'll detour onto Copia, Gateway East, and Reynolds. If you're heading away from UMC, you would just stay on Paisano to Copia and then get back on Alameda. Worth sharing, we've recognizing this may be a time when emergency medical services are especially needed. We've been extra diligent to make sure that we're communicating directly to EMS and leaders at University Medical Center to make sure they're aware of all of these changes. Another change coming up a week from tonight and a week from tomorrow night, complete closure of Ramp H, which connects eastbound I-10 to northbound US 54. So this is that ramp you would take if you're coming from downtown heading to the northeast. Will be closed from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday. The detour route for that will be heading out to Trowbridge, making that U-turn there, which has newly been widened near Bassett, and then heading north on US 54 to get to your eventual destination. All right. So those are all the changes that are in place right now or are coming up in the near term. But we're just going to begin to lay the foundation of understanding for phase 6, which is coming up at the end of the project. Still several months away, but it's going to be very impactful. So just to make sure you're aware, we will move into a phase where there will be complete closures of eastbound and westbound Paisano over I-110. One of the things you saw in that earlier animation was the fact that the Paisano interchange there just north of the Bridge of the Americas goes from 3 levels to 2. To help achieve that, all of that highest level, that bridge over the interchange, has to be completely demolished. And in order to do that, traffic has to be closed east and west on Paisano at I-110. As is already in place, northbound traffic on I-110 will be able to go up and make that right onto Paisano and then access US 54 and I-10 from Gateway North. Southbound I-110 heading into Juarez will remain in its temporary configuration at most times. Occasionally, there will be moments during that phase 6, which is coming up towards the end of the project, where southbound traffic heading to Juarez will be detoured onto Paisano Drive. Again, none of those changes, other than the ones which are already in place, will be going into effect in the immediate future, but just want to remind everybody that there are still many, many months to go in this project and some very high impact closures as well. So we have a map that's going to kind of show that. Again, that area you see in red right there, focused just north of the Bridge of the Americas, again showing I-110 closed to northbound traffic, Paisano closed to east and westbound traffic. That Paisano traffic will, of course, be detoured up onto Alameda or onto Delta Drive as an alternate. So with that, those were all the questions, or all the items we have prepared to present. With that, I'm happy to kick it over to Jennifer Wright from TxDOT and anybody else from the TxDOT team or the contractor team for any information they'd like to add and any questions that we've received that we'd like to answer.
Thank you, Martin. Is my mic on? I am looking at a couple of questions that we had come in from Lincoln Park Conservation Committee. One is, how might the coronavirus stay home order affect construction? Will it delay the project or add time for the completion? When actually it would appear that as long as the governor is allowing for construction, then we will continue to work. So at this point, it doesn't appear that it would affect at all the project timeline. Another question or actually a comment, thank you so much. A comment that came in was that the Lincoln Park Conservation Committee would like to thank TxDOT and SUNT Construction for allowing us to inspect and do cleanup of the Virgen de Guadalupe mural prior to current restrictions at the park. We've recovered the mural to protect it as the project continues, and they were grateful for that. And I just have to say that it's always a pleasure to work with the Lincoln Park Conservation Committee, and we hope to continue working together throughout this project. So thanks for the nice pat on the back, and thanks SUNT for cooperating and with our crews on that. I don't know if there's anything else. Has anyone else had any questions come in?
Now at the email inbox to see if anything has come in through there. At last check, it had not, but let me just refresh one more time.
Let me check also if Jorge has anything to add on the construction timeline, or Rudy, if you have anything to add to that. I know that workers are continuing in the construction field, and maybe you have some insight as to how they're keeping themselves safe during this crisis that we're living under.
Jennifer, this is Rudy. Is this for me, this question?
Sure.
Okay. So as a company, we're following the CDC guidelines. As of this week, starting on Monday, we started taking temperatures for all of our subcontractors and employees that arrive on site. We've also asked that the employees check their temperature prior to arriving on site each morning to make sure that they don't have a fever, and if they do, to inform us and just stay home until that fever goes away or until they're feeling better. But we've added extra wash stations. We have masks. We have solution as far as like hand sanitizer for our employees to wipe down the equipment that they're using prior to getting in a piece of equipment. But yeah, we're practicing the 6 foot, safe zone distance is what you call it. And we've also started these virtual meetings on just about every meeting that we've had now.
Jennifer,
Yes, Jorge.
pretty much on TxDOT side, our inspectors are doing pretty much the same thing that Rudy, project manager, son mentioned. Same things. And then also we are encouraging just to have one inspector per truck. So that way we keep social distancing. But we're following, like Rudy said, all the CDC regulations.
That's wonderful. Great. Martin, do you have anything to add, or shall I move on to closing remarks?
I think that's all we have. I will tell you, we got no emails during the inbox during the meeting. Our inbox, of course, remains open all the time. Info at i10connectelpaso.com. Also, our hotline remains open, 855-463-1010. We're happy to answer any questions we receive through either of those platforms or on social media as well.
Okay, great. Well, if you joined us late or you want to share this info from this meeting with others, it will be on the I-10 Connect Facebook page and on the i10connectelpaso.com website. In the meantime, stay safe, stay home, and we will have our next meeting on Tuesday. What is that, May 3rd? Is that the first Tuesday of May? So thank you all for joining us. Appreciate it so much.